your source of the most relevant news in blockchain gaming. If you haven't already, make sure you check out our articles on blockchaingamer.biz and follow us on Twitter at BCGBiz. Today is Friday, the 2nd of June, and I'm your host, Jenny Jordan. And with me today is co-host John Jordan. Hello.
What about your other co-host?
Oh, yeah, one of my mates here. Although I'd say he's more of your mate, isn't he? He kind of lives by your bedside.
He is. I was very impressed that you were doing Lego with the kids one day, and that's what you came up with.
And this man popped up.
Yeah, you worked avidly on it. We have to maybe it should be a reader's question. Who should be your next crypto face that you do in Lego?
Yeah, and the kids were quite impressed as well, actually, although they didn't know. I have no idea who Vitalik was.
No, it's good. I mean, he's a very
you
might fall over. He's a bit delicate, but no, he's a sort of a characteristic figure for like cartoons and stuff. But he I don't know how he seemed to work really well in Lego.
No,
I'm not sure everyone would. Yeah,
recognizable characteristic.
Anyway.
Features.
We're sort of we're being playful because we're sort of on holiday this week, or at least the kids are on holiday. So so we're semi on holiday this week as well, haven't we? So but anyway, we have a few things to talk about, haven't we?
Well, it is summer, so it's a little bit thin on news, isn't it? But we do have our own kind of news from the big list, where every month we go through and add. Well, we look at the data of how many games we've added and what chains those games are on. So. We added 58 games in May.
And just to interrupt there, when you say we, you mean you. So I'm not going to take any credit for the work. You do the work on the list. So that's, I mean, I occasionally send you a game or something.
The eminent people working on the list, which is me.
Yeah, you.
Basically.
So let's put that on the record. That all the great work on the big blockchain list is basically you. So well done.
Okay, so... glad we got that clarified. Right. I added 58 games last month. Yeah. Although I would say with your input, because you often come across an awful lot of new games and send them through to me, and I am the one sitting there doing the sort of editing work. But yeah. Anyway, top chains were Sui, which was no surprise.
Well, I mean, I think it's. It was, I mean, in a sense, it was a surprise in a sense that we didn't really have any Sui games. So I think what's interesting and every time you do one of these new monthly ones, what's interesting is one, there's sort of, quite a lot of games added. I think 55 in April and 36 in March, something like that. So there's still quite a lot of sort of games being added. So it's not like, and partly that's us finding new ones and partly new ones being announced. So, but it's not like there's 5 games being added, it's not like everyone's stopped making games or announcing games. There's still quite a lot, I think 58 is sort of quite a lot, really. And then it is interesting that month on month we are seeing these sort of new chains launching. So I can't remember which one was it. In May, in March we had, was it one of the Korean ones? I can't remember. One of the, you added loads. I can't remember which one.
I think it was Wii Mix.
Wii Mix, and you added like
69.
Something enormous number. So it's sort of funny.
69 games added, of which 68% were Wii Mix games.
Yeah,
but that also just shows how when there is sort of a new games library. So that isn't to say that sort of all of these games are new. It's that they've just been kind of announced on a new platform or in a new ecosystem sort of thing.
So it is sort of interesting that in 2022, 23, we've every month we sort of had one of these sort of new blockchains, or like Intella X, which is from NeoWick, again another South Korean company. It's sort of its blockchain infrastructure, which is running on Polygon, but it's sort of announced whatever, I can't remember, it's like 10 games or something. As a sort of press release thing. So we sort of, in the month, we sort of have the usual stuff. So this month there's like 10% of the games are from Polygon. Polygon normally quite popular, and B&B and Arbitrum are sort of some that there's always new games being announced for those sort of things. And there's some multi-chain stuff and others we don't know. But then we have these big lumps of,
to Finch,
10 games added for
which is Line Next. Line Next used to have, I think it was called Line even.
It's called Line, wasn't it?
Blockchain. Yeah, and now it's called
Finch.
It's
not a good name, is it? It sounds like a flower or something. Finch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite delicate, but doesn't strike. It's not doesn't shout blockchain.
That was the platform game Dozy that launched. With it came 5 games, and they've also got another 5 sort of another 5 said that's going to be announced in the second half of 2023. So that'll be another set of games then coming on that one. But quite striking, I thought, is the 5 new chains that we've added this month. But I stopped kind of being surprised by how many chains there are out there. It just seems to be new chains every month, really. 80. How many have we got in total now? I lost count. So over 80 games, 80 chains anyway in total that are announced on the.
And it sort of increases now because you used to have your half a dozen or dozen L1 blockchains that everyone knew, and then all these L2 start. So you have Arbitrum and Optimism, and then you have the ZK roll-ups, and it's sort of and then you have these gaming infrastructures like in Interstellar, and it's interesting. We're in a period where basically all those infrastructures are all adding more and more and more, and it's going to stop anytime soon, really.
And the Asian, I mean, it's just the amount of games and chains coming out of there. We added a big bunch of Indian games this time, but then I also added a Korean or Singaporean chain, and I mean, it's just so much coming out of that, and so much that I don't know about. We don't know about yet, that we're just still to find out.
And there's probably quite a lot of stuff in China that we're probably not. Is not in the English language that we're not covering, because bizarrely it seems now China is sort of opening up to crypto. So it sort of happened in Hong Kong, and now it seems that the Chinese have sort of done a U-turn really after sort of banning Bitcoin and stuff, and now it seems they're really opening up, which is sort of not what anyone would have expected. But I imagine there's quite a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember in sort of 2018, 2019, there was quite a lot of stuff going on in China before it all got shut down. So that's a sort of an area where probably we're probably not covering.
Do you think it's kind of a reaction to US kind of? Do you think
I don't know,
China...
really. I mean, it's weird because it sort of seemed, China doesn't have like an open sort of economy for like money. So if you're a Chinese person, you can't just move your money from China to bank account somewhere else. You can't do it. So they have sort of a closed sort of a monetary system. So you'd think they wouldn't like those sort of crypto things that allow you to move money around. That's why they didn't like Bitcoin, because it allowed rich Chinese people to basically move their money outside of China in a very simple way. So so I don't. It seems very odd to me. I can't think they would just do it just because the Americans are clamping down on it, because I don't think loads of American companies are not going to move to China to run blockchain games companies or crypto companies. I mean, that's just not happening. So I haven't got any logical. I mean, I'm absolutely not an expert in China. So.
Anyways, crack on. We have had some interviews this week. We've had Shrapnel, and we've had.
Yeah, it's been quite a lot of interviews, isn't it? Did you say sort of? Not just us being on holiday. There was like there wasn't Labor Day, Memorial Day in the States as well. So it's just been a sort of quiet week, I think, generally for the news.
Yeah, good week to put out new interviews though, which are really good. I recommend people go reading them. They're very in depth. You do learn a lot about the sort of thinking behind and the process of building on blockchain. How that's different to Web 2 and. You just get a really good insight into the industry, and I thought it was interesting. We should have a
shout out to Dave Bradley, who has been banging his interviews out, having gone to GDC. He's not one to forget to forget writing up his articles. So he's the one who's been meeting people and following up from GDC. So he said Simon Davis from Mighty Bear in Singapore had a good interview with him, and also Shrapnel, the extraction shooter guys in Seattle. So he had a good chat with them. And you've also been talking to Across the Ages.
Yeah.
And we've got a bunch of interviews for next week as well, haven't we? Got the Sandbox, good interview with Sebastian from the Sandbox coming out next week as well. So
we've got Crypto Unicorns coming up as well.
Oh, Crypto, yeah. Crypto Unicorns, yeah. They're announcing some stuff next week, which we can't talk about yet. It's under embargo, but I had a chat with them, with Aaron on my podcast, so that'll be coming out next week. Yeah, so more news next week.
Good. Yeah, that's right. Okay. We got anything else to add? We did look at these new games that we going back to the list again. So games that we added in the last month that sort of a little bit of more kind of interest, in the myriad of projects and games launching all of the time. It's just hard really to know which ones are going to be something and which ones should I not get too enthusiastic about. And obviously we don't know. We don't sit on any sort of truth about what no one else does. But things that kind of excite us a little bit more. And one of those games we pointed out is Dark Machine, that's building on Immutable from the team Meta X, and they've got a Twitter. You just go and find them there. That team is backed by Tencent. It's got some good game experience, veterans from Square Enix and Sega. That's a next gen shooter.
We don't know much about it, do we?
And it's set to launch in 2025. It's going to have its alpha out sooner than that, I think. But yeah, so it's set to launch in 2025, which is obviously kind of tells us that it's a big, ambitious project. It's not just a sort of coming on your quick money on a B&B sort of game. It's not that sort of thing. And they've got a second title as well from the same studio, Meta X, Dual Knights, and that's set to launch later this year. So, but that's a very different game to Dark Machine. And then we looked at Providence as well, which was announced early in May at the Avalanche Summit, and that is by Dynasty Studios. It's a multiplayer kind of experience set in an alien world where I think it's like a galaxy. I'm not entirely sure. It's a survival kind of game. It's built on an Unreal. Again, this sort of big, ambitious sort of project. The alpha is set to be released later this year. So that's something to go and check out. And then we had added a game dozy there again, the platform with those from Line Next. So that's just something to point out there for people who are interested in new kind of projects coming up.
Cool.
But that's all to find on our website again. So yeah,
good.
We will be looking forward to next week with hopefully some more news coming up then. And with that, we're going to finish off today.
Good.
See you all next week. Bye-bye.
Okay, see ya. Bye.